Hi, I'm John Scott Dixon, and this is the first in a series called Marketing on the Run. And I do this every day, so I figure I might as well make some good use out of the time. Today, I'm in Phoenix. I'm going to be running in the desert today, same loop I usually do. And it's about 2 o'clock, a little bit late to get a start out here in the desert, but what the hell. So what I want to talk to you about today is a phenomenon called Twitter. And in particular, a lot of people using Twitter. In fact, I think the number's about 2 million, something like that now. So I want to talk to you not so much about using Twitter. That's pretty easy. You go to twitter.com and create your account and get started. Now, I will tell you, creating your account, you need to think of a few things, 2 things in particular. The name. It's probably best not to choose the name of your company for a number of reasons. One is the company could go out of business. It may transition, change names if it's purchased. You may decide not to work there anymore. Anyway, so there are a number of things like that make it not a good choice to use your company name. Now, if you own your company, or you really want to drive traffic specifically to your company's website or something like that, you might consider a keyword, if available, that really says what you do, and make that your name. Now, there is a character limit. I'm going to say it's 15 characters. Don't hold me to that. Something like that. Anyway, so you should give some consideration to the name you use for your company. The other consideration is you have to tether your account on Twitter to an email address. So if you choose your company email address as what it's tethered to, and you leave, especially if it's not on good terms, you no longer have access to the equity you've built up in this account. So treat it as a sacred piece of property, of real estate that you own. And my recommendation is to do something very simple, probably just your first and last name. In my case, my parents blessed me with 2 first names, John Scott. So my Twitter is John Scott Dixon. Pretty simple. Spelled Dixon, D-I-X-O-N. So I'd recommend something like that. But beyond that, pretty much anybody can get on and start Twittering. Twitter is it's kind of a weird phase you have to go through, especially if you're a business person. And by the way, most people on Twitter are professionals. They are business people. So when you get in there, you're going to feel like, man, this is juvenile. Who has time for this crap, right? That's typically the first instinct. And you're kind of right, but really not. Here's what it's about. I talk a lot about semantic marketing, Web 3.0, Web 2.0 stuff, and I have a great deal of expertise, which you're going to get to know along the way in that space. Today we're talking about social media marketing, but anyway, you get it. So, I could talk about that ad nauseum, and as you'll get to know, either you're going to like it or you're not, you're going to tune out. Well, with Twitter, it's not only about the fact that we all have expertise and that we can speak intelligently about it or write intelligently within 140 characters. That's the limit, by the way, for each communication piece on Twitter, 140 characters. So that's a given. What is disturbing about Twitter and endearing at the same time is that now I'm going off trail, so I got to pay a little bit more attention, or onto the trail, I should say. What's endearing and annoying about Twitter is that we also talk about personal things. As an example, a friend of my son is 5 years old, and he came to our house the other day, and for whatever reason decided it might be a good idea to flush his underpants down the toilet. Well, wasn't a good idea. Meant that I had about 45 minutes of plunging ahead of me, And so I tweeted that. It's called tweeting when you talk on Twitter. Tweet. So I definitely talked about it. Well, what's that say? It's not professional in any way, right? But it does tell you that I'm human. It does tell you that I deal with the same kind of fatherly circumstances that at least my male viewers may relate to. And, you know, it helps you understand whether or not you'd want to hang out with me. If I would meet your requirements, or if you disapprove and think me a bore. So really that's kind of what it's about. So when you get out there, give it a try, make yourself give it a couple of weeks, get into the rhythm of it, try it, say some smart stuff, say some stupid stuff, see what people think. Now, each person's experience with Twitter is completely 100% unique. I say that because the experience is fashioned by those you choose to follow. So, one of the things I do, I'm going to give you a tip right here. Ready? Go to Summize, SUMMIZE.com, or TweetScan, TweetScan.com. And these are kind of search engines built for Twitter. What they enable you to do is put in a search term and see who's talking about it. So for instance, I was just with a plastic surgeon client of ours, and I was turning him onto Twitter, which would be really remarkable. I mean, very few people in his field would be willing to do it. But by going to Summize and typing in something like breast augmentation, he's going to find men and women, mostly women actually, talking about it in a clinical sense, what they're thinking, their thoughts, their concerns, whether they should do it, the fact they're going to do it right away, those kind of conversations. Well, this is fertile ground for him. So he can choose to follow. That's what you do on Twitter. When you start off, nobody's following you, and you're not following anyone. So the way the experience begins, you got to find somebody to follow. You can look in the general conversation queue, which is pretty overwhelming. It's 2 million people talking about whatever. And so it's hard to find yourself relevant or see any relevance at that scale. So using Summize or TweetScan, you can pare the people that may have an interest with you down. And I follow some people that play guitar because I play guitar. I follow a lot of people that are in advertising agencies because that's my target market for Semanicator. So anyway, that's the first tip, is you got to figure out who you're going to follow and get started. Follow them. Now here's the neat thing. 80% of the time, at least my experience, is that they're going to turn around and follow you. So now you got your target market following your tweets. They're limited to 140 characters. So the stuff you say is possibly going to be interesting to them. And if it is, now the people that follow them, especially if they respond to you, there goes a big hawk. Nice. Maybe a Harris hawk. See if you can see this. See him flying way out there in the distance? Let's see if I can zoom. It's about the best I can do. I'll come back to a normal